What's going on, guys? JNC here with our sixth edition of JNC Rewind. Yes, there's no JNC radio this week. We're just going to get right into it. It's another edition of JNC Rewind. This is supposed to be next week's show, actually, but I'm just going to go ahead and give it to you right now. So this edition of Rewind, we're going to be giving you the 1992 Royal Rumble event.
Yeah, we were going back. We're going back on this one.
First 90 show we've done.
Yeah, first 90 show.
It should be of many to come.
Yeah, many to come. Of course, we chose this one because this was the so-called greatest Rumble of all time to do with the talent that was in this match.
Yeah, maybe the most star-studded Rumble ever.
Yeah, it was packed. So we wanted to see for ourselves. Wanted to actually see it for ourselves, and well, let's not waste any more time. And
Yeah. So first we'd have the opening with Vince. This is actually really cool. He would just name off all the stars that would be involved in the show, and he's doing his Vince voice, his announcing voice.
yeah, yeah, just typical little package here.
Yeah, no, nothing flashy like later years on, but just for the time period and everything, just it's got that early '90s feel to it. It's always cool.
Yeah, and then we would actually the commentators for this one were Gorilla Monsoon and Five of the Brent Heaton.
Yep.
They were the commentators for tonight. Obviously, they were the commentators for this era.
Yeah. So they called the action throughout the night. And first we'd open with a tag team match, which we would see the New Foundation of Jim the Anvil Neidhart and Owen Hart go against the Orient Express. This was the opener. I actually thought this was a pretty good tag team match. Perfect choice to open the show.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. It was actually perfect length, back and forth, just clean it, just good old clean wrestling throughout the whole show.
Yeah, it started out kind of interesting because in the very early stages, Owen and Jim, well, they kind of had like the edge. Like very early on, I was kind of wondering, when are things gonna, turn for the Orient Express, because it was mostly just Owen and Jim like very early. Then, of course, tides would turn, and then the heels would have their advantage, and Owen would do a good job playing the babyface here, trying to build up to that hot tag when Jim would get back in the ring and take over. And yeah, it was perfect timed, perfect choice for an opener. Very solid stuff, and this was a pretty good match. I went ahead and gave it a 3.5.
Same here.
And the winners, of course, would be Jim Neidhart and Owen Hart, New Foundation. They'd be your winners. Next, we'd see the Lord Alfred Hayes. He would break down some footage from 2 days prior when Brett lost the Intercontinental title to the Mountie. Roddy Piper would save Hart from a post-match attack from the Mountie, which would lead to a title match here on the show. So then Sean Mooney would interview the Mountie and Jimmy Hart. They basically just poke fun at Brett. Then Gene Okerlund would then interview Piper, and he would...
He's one crazy motherfucker, dude.
Yeah, one of his best interviews probably like ever. Honestly, I mean, he had plenty of those, but yeah, this is probably by far up amongst the top of the list.
Yes, sir.
Then we had the Intercontinental Championship on the line. We saw the Mountie defend against Roddy Piper with Jimmy Hart in the Mountie's corner. But not much to say about this one. I guess
no, not really.
Piper would get the sweeper hold, and he'd get the win like in 5 minutes. Yeah, very quick match, but I don't think there's very much they could have done with this. Mountie was champ for 2 days.
Yeah, what a reign, right? What a reign. Yeah, it was nothing really special here. It was just a really but it was nice to see that Piper actually won.
Yeah, got a big pop when he came out there too.
Yeah, he was one of them.
Yeah, so then after the match, post-match, he would tase the Mountie, I guess. Then following that, Alfred Hayes would have a quick word with Hulk Hogan in regard to the Rumble match and in the night, and then following that, we get a interview with Mean Gene and the Bushwhackers and Jameson.
Jesus.
Yeah. Then, speaking of the Bushwhackers, next we have a tag team match, which would see them with Jameson in their corner against the Beverly Brothers with the Genius in their corner. And, yeah, well, first, the Bushwhackers would make their entrance. They'd come out there, they'd basically lick everything and everyone in sight. Yeah, I can't get into that. I can't get into those characters.
Especially when you're licking little infants.
Yeah, that's what they were doing. Like, I don't understand. Like, I get it. Like, I'm not going to say it because of the time. That should never, in any era, any generation, have ever been acceptable.
Yeah.
I mean, that is...
Licking each other.
And then they got freaking the parents in the crowds. Like, how the hell are they okay with this crap?
Yeah, again, they're licking each other, licking their manager.
Yeah, it's really just nasty.
Biting asses.
Yeah, I mean, just really bizarre stuff. Yeah, this is easily the worst match we've done, where we've witnessed or we've covered during these JNC rewinds.
We didn't even rate it.
Yeah, this got a 0. Oh, we rated it. It just got a 0. And the only thing that saved it from getting minus stars is Bobby Heenan's commentary. That was the only thing that was like saving that from like getting minus stars, which we've never done a minus star. But.
Yeah, those two were at each other's throats the entire night.
Yeah, so they I'm not gonna. They saved it from getting minus stars. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm not gonna say that they saved it because it was still awful, but
yeah,
But I guess then the Beverly Brothers would eventually they'd pick up the win for whatever good that is. I guess.
A lot of tag matches in this card.
Yeah, there were 3 tag team matches on the card, and also then after that we had a little interview with the Legion of Doom, talking about their title defense coming up next against the Natural Disasters, Typhoon and Earthquake with Jimmy Hart in their corner. Jimmy Hart, Mouth and South, he was in the corner of a ton of people. We basically managed everybody.
Yeah, just like you know,
heel and face.
Yeah, Mr. Fuji.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I forgot to mention the first match. He was in the Orient Express's corner. Yeah. So, side note. So next we had the WWF Tag Team titles on the line, where we saw the Legion of Doom, Hawk and Animal, the Road Warriors against the Natural Disasters as Typhoon and Earthquake with Jimmy Hart. Yeah, this wasn't a super lengthy one either, but it's not gonna need it to be. But
and common sense, lack of common sense.
Yeah, I didn't. It wasn't really that good, like throughout it, like. But I mean, it wasn't. But what really once again killed it. I hate when this happens, but this does happen at times. Like before, I was probably feeling like probably 2 1/4. I didn't think it wasn't like terrible, but like it wasn't even like. But, it wasn't even like really, really bad or anything. Like it was. You maybe could have said it was all right, but then this finish was just weird. Typhoon would be the only one in the ring, so then it'd be the Natural Disasters winning by count out. Then they would take the belts and then celebrate as if they had won it, even though obviously rules is that the title cannot change by a count out, can only change by pinfall or submission. Otherwise, the champions retain the titles. They're just acting really dumb. So
common sense, and they're freaking complaining in the back.
Yeah, then after this, they had a post-match interview, and they were just complaining about how they should be champions, and now they got robbed or whatever. It's like, yeah, but
you won by count.
I get that the heels or whatever in this, but it's like nothing's worse than when the heels are I get that that's kind of the thing where they just say stuff or whatever, just but you gotta say stuff that makes sense. Like you can't just complain about stuff that's just ridiculous like this.
Yeah.
When it's just I don't know.
No,
So
yeah, I understand that.
Yeah, so we've hate to of course do this, but we've those are the first several matches of the night. We kind of skimmed through those very quickly, but it's not really much we could say about it. But what we can say a lot about is what's coming up next, which would be the Royal Rumble for the WWF Championship, the vacant World Wrestling Federation Championship. But before that would begin, we would have several interviews with the participants in this match. First, we had Mean Gene and Roddy Piper, and Roddy Piper would allude to the fact he could have the opportunity to walk out with 2 titles because he had won the Intercontinental title previous in the night, and then he's entertained the idea of possibly being the world champion as well. Then Shawn Michaels was with Sean Mooney, and this is also very interesting because this is actually this is right after he had turned on Marty Jannetty in the barbershop segment.
Yep.
So this is like the beginning of early Shawn Michaels. So like singles career Shawn Michaels,
Yes.
which would he go on to have one of the greatest careers of all time and one of the greatest singles runs ever. And yeah, just one of the goats as all around. Then we had Ric Flair with Ward Alfred Hayes, and he also was with Kurt Hennig, Mr. Perfect as well. Then we had the Macho Man Randy Savage cut a promo. We had Sid Vicious, Repo Man, or Sid Vicious, Sid Justice, Repo Man, British Bulldog, Jake Roberts, Ric Flair. I think the first time he was on his own, and the second time he was with Mr. Perfect.
Yeah, it was one of those two.
Then we had Undertaker and Paul Bearer, and then we also had Hulk Hogan. So then we had of course, we had the Royal Rumble match for the vacant World Wrestling Federation title. This is the first ever time, and for the longest time, the only time that they do a Rumble match where the title was vacant. Or this is the only time they did where the title was vacant, but it would be the first of like 2 times where the title was on the line. They would later do this many years later in 2016 with Roman and the WWE title. But yeah, so we're gonna just go down the list of order of participants, and we're gonna then go through the eliminations, sequences throughout this. So first we had the British Bulldog and the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase as the first 2 participants in this one. Then following that would be Ric Flair, who he did point out in his interview that he was going in at number 3, but he still guaranteed victory.
Yep.
And then we had Jerry Sags from the Nasty Boys. We had Haku, Shawn Michaels at number 6, El Matador, of course, also known as Tito Santana. We had the Barbarian, Texas Tornado, Repo Man, Greg Valentine, Nikolai Volkov, Big Boss Man.
Is Greg Valentine the original Nature Boy, or is that someone else?
No, that's Buddy Rogers.
Buddy Rogers.
Then we had Hercules. Then we had Roddy Piper, who won the IC title earlier, current IC champion at the time. We had Jake Roberts, center. Actually, no. Well, at this point, I miswrote down the entries. So it was actually Hacksaw Jim Duggan that came in at 16. Then it was Jake Roberts. Then IRS. Then Jimmy Snuka. Then at 20, we had The Undertaker. 21, we had Macho Man. 22, we had The Berserker. 23, we had Virgil. 24, Cole Mustafa, also known as Iron Sheik. We had Rick Martel. Hulk Hogan eventually would enter at 26. 27, we had Skinner. 28, we had Sergeant Slaughter. 29, we had Sid Justice. And then 30, we had the Warlord. So a couple things to note here is there'd be 15 Hall of Famers in this Rumble, so half the people involved would eventually go on to become Hall of Famers. I'm pretty sure there's no other Rumble with that has that many Hall of Famers in it in a single one. I don't know that for a fact, but I couldn't imagine there being another Rumble where that was the case. But yeah, so then it started out with Bulldog and DiBiase, and then Bulldog would make quick works of DiBiase. He would actually be the first one eliminated, which actually was pretty surprising in a lot of ways. Wouldn't have expected him to be the first one to go, especially that quickly. Then Ric Flair would enter, and then the next would be eliminated was Jerry Sags. He'd be eliminated. Then Haku would be the 5th man in, and then he'd also be eliminated by Bulldog. So the first 3 eliminations were all by British Bulldog.
Yeah, he was on fire to start off the match. Definitely. It was actually kind of funny how the one Nasty Boy was in, but not the other.
Yeah, exactly. So then Shawn Michaels, he would be eliminated by so him and Tito Santana would both be eliminated by one another. Then the Barbarian was eliminated by Hercules. Texas Tornado was eliminated by Ric Flair. Repo Man was eliminated by Big Boss Man. And Repo Man would actually eliminate Greg Valentine and Nick